There are a lot of women out there who are very smart, very competent. They know how to do their job, and they may be smarter than the person who's over them. Mm-hmm. But if they speak up, if they don't agree, not because they're being disagreeable, but because they have a different viewpoint that may be better, a woman could get labeled with the angry black woman label too. Yeah. Right? So we all face it, and that's one of the things I just want to drop. Black men and black women, it's kind of a beef out here. We're not fully listening to one another, but we got to realize in greater society, we are all going through the same thing. Yeah. We would be better listening to one another, understanding that we're not trying to attack you, y'all aren't trying to attack us, but there's some dissatisfaction. A lot of times the dissatisfaction comes from somebody's feelings or position, their thoughts being suppressed or dismissed. And that's all.
But I really, this is very therapeutic for me today, you know.
Today, different.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, I have my meetings with my therapist for, you know, my military stuff, but then I feel like I'm getting another one, especially for today. I'm being able to exhale. I've been waiting to exhale again.
You've been waiting to exhale?
Yeah.
We got to talk about that. Okay. All right, so you ready for today's conversation?
Yeah.
All right, let's get it, man. Throw on my shades.
I use that topic. I had to throw that one out there, waiting to exhale.
I think you might have just named the episode, my friend. I think you might have just named the episode.
Waiting to exhale.
Today's topic is about listening. Yeah. When we look at the climate today between men and women, especially black men and black women, we see that everybody's talking, but not everybody's listening. If you go back in the day to pre-slavery, 1840s to the 60s, the women's suffrage movement started, and it started the foundation for feminism and a lot of other movements that eventually gave women more of a voice in the workplace and in society. But that created a social shift that kind of disrupted the balance in the household. Right. Now men are speaking up. Usually men are strong and silent, get the work done, not much to say. But now we got the term podcast man. So what that says is, just as in the past where women didn't feel heard, now men are picking up mics, but we're seeing that men aren't really being heard.
Nah.
So we're at an impasse. Everybody is waiting to exhale. And that's what the conversation is going to be about today. Waiting to exhale from the male's perspective.
Yeah.
So T-Rex, this was one of your topics that you felt moved to talk about.
Yeah.
What inspired this topic?
Oh, most of we always keep it a buck 50 on this show, 100. The reason why most of the stuff we do on our podcast is because we've been through it, going through it, or still going through it.
Say that again.
So
most of the stuff on the podcast is from
something that we went through, going through, or still going through. So hey, so this is not we just sitting back, just being petty to just think of stuff. No. We've been there, done that. Probably still going through
experience.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you waiting to exhale? Do you feel like you're not being heard in some ways? I gotta ask that question.
I'm like Harlem Nights, where the dude was when he was in the bank, and he said they were about to lock him. He said, "Take a short little breath, like." Because if you take a big one, you might die because there ain't enough air in there.
Oh, damn.
So that's what I've been doing so far. With my situation I'm going through, I'm playing checkers right now, but I was playing checkers, but now I'm starting to play chess. So I'm exhaling a little bit.
Man.
But it's not. I haven't got to the finish line.
You making me think of with that title. You making me think about some of my experiences. I remember waiting to exhale, and I'm not gonna go into detail here.
Right.
I'm gonna throw it back over to you, but I think about like going through divorce and dealing with attorneys.
Yeah.
You know, not together with your kid's mom and having to go through all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh, that's a waiting to exhale moment.
Yeah.
Where you're with things that should be natural rights to you, your voice don't matter on them. Mm-hmm. And you got to go stand before somebody, one who it takes forever to get in front of,
right,
a judge.
Right.
And then when you get in front of, it feels like it's bias everywhere in the room. You've been there with me before.
Yeah.
So I mean, the waiting to exhale moment for men is serious, you know. And I think a lot of men get labeled. People don't listen; they label, especially when a man comes from a position of how he feels. It seems like as soon as a man starts talking about how he feels, that's when you get labeled and dismissed.
Yeah.
Have you experienced that, and what you think about that?
Yeah, I done heard it. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. It pisses me off to the utmost. It takes a lot of energy for me to contain my emotions. And the only reason I can say that because even when most men explain how they feel, is one thing that we have that also gets ignored, but pisses me off. Mm-hmm. We be actually having the facts, but those facts be overlooked. Oh. Especially when it comes to a woman. Okay. See, a woman can just come with emotion and win she'll win the whole conversation with just emotion.
Right.
But men know that we just can't come with emotion.
You gotta
have facts with it.
A pattern of facts.
Not just facts. Not just with that incident,
right,
but multiple incidents or proof. And it still will get you, it feel like they're trying to sweep that under the rug. Like, what does it got to do with what's going on now? Well, goddamn, I have to build it up, because if I just start with the now and don't give you the facts, you really will blow the shit off.
Yeah,
it'll really look like you just being emotional in that moment, but you fed up. But you're not just coming, I'm angry. You're like, look, I'm fed up, but I'm gonna show you a pattern of what I'm going through. I've been putting up with it, and they'll say stuff like this: well, you should have let us know when it first started. But then when you let them know when the shit first started, so if you let them know when it first started, they ignoring you. But if you don't say nothing, they were like, you should have said something like, goddamn, make up your fucking mind. Do you want me to just sit back and be the man that I am and just let the shit build up, which I'm doing? So when I do show my true emotion, I'm going to have emotion plus the reason why I'm pissed off or where I'm frustrated at. So, but you see what I'm saying? If you do it too soon, it's like, okay, Mr. Brown, you're being emotional. Give that person a chance. But then if you got a pattern, it's like, okay, you should have said something sooner. Why did you wait until it got to this point? You hear police saying and judges saying, well, why you waiting?
Let's slow it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I got when I'm hearing you talk, I'm thinking about back in the crack era when the welfare program came in and put men out of the house. I bring up that historical reference because really that's the first time the man's voice was silenced in the home. Yeah. For black people, largely for black people. I don't know how they enforce welfare regulations in white homes, but I know in the projects, I've lived in projects before, I know that man can't be in that house. So if that means that man can't be in there legally and the woman can, his voice is already muzzled in the house, and she has the power to call, law enforcement on him to remove him, right? Yeah. Even though he's a part of the family. Yeah. So you've got that, and then with the divorce proceedings, a lot of times the woman, even if she's not doing well as a parent or not doing well financially, gets control of the children, and the attitude becomes, these are my kids, not our kids. And that equates to the father really not having a voice in what is happening with the children. So I'm just kind of painting a picture historically about how the man's voice, the black man's voice, has been muted in his household. Now I think we're seeing a similar muting of the black man's voice in society, or an attempt, because we still talking. Right. Now everybody ain't saying the same thing, but black men are still speaking out. But the fact that they are speaking out, and you see how people respond to it, shows that a lot of people don't have an appetite to hear how you feel or care what you think, especially if they don't like how it makes them feel.
Yeah, see, everything you're saying is all about feelings. Now, see, it's one thing to have feelings, which we all have, but when somebody is coming with facts, truth, your feelings have to change. If you still holding on to your feelings, even your feelings could be wrong at the moment, but then this person brings facts to justify their feelings, and your feelings is still raw feeling like you're right, and you don't have no facts. You just I just don't like him, whatever. I'm prejudice against men. He's making it up, but ma'am, he's got this, he got that.
What do you think that is on a personal level, when you have a personal situation and there's an incident, somebody's bringing facts, the other party feels a certain way and dismisses the facts, right? And they opt for how they feel. What's going on there? What's the barrier to listening on that personal level?
Is not, the thing is you gotta take the gloves off. Now you gotta it's almost like you gotta take legal matters.
But what is the barrier though? Why
for them not to?
Why can't the person hear the facts? Why can't they see the story that you're telling based on the facts? And rather they're going with their feelings. What's preventing that? What's that barrier?
It's a personal agenda. It's gotta be something personal, something subjective.
So you're saying, I'm not gonna get into the details, it's not needed, but
yeah.
You're saying you had a situation with another neighbor who was a woman where you live. You went to the office to deal with that. They didn't address it adequately. They
addressed it, she fixed it, but then she go right back to doing it again.
So they're not really on top of it like they should be.
Right.
Now, when you went to other authorities, they asked you, why didn't you talk to her? Yeah. And you said you were apprehensive about that because of today's climate.
Yeah, and I noticed that since the office done talk to her, and she act right, and then she go back to
What
it.
is the climate that you're talking about? Because we don't need the details.
Okay, well, the climate.
What's the climate?
The climate is what we talking. I mean, well, we ain't waiting to exhale. I want to explain it. The climate is unequal. It's not fair. Okay. It's almost like, it's not racism. I would say it's like prejudice. Okay. It's like prejudice. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to women, with men, I think it's prejudice shit going on. And I'm not just talking about a black woman and a black man. It could be a white woman, whatever ethnicity, female, a woman. If they have a power of position, on top of they know how to manipulate the situation with raw emotions, especially when it's against a man, white, black man, Chinese man, Hispanic man, that's fucked up. Instinctively, you're going to favor for that woman. I'm even guilty of doing that. When I watch movies, I'm like, damn, but then I have to catch myself and say, hold up, let's get some information. But see, when a man checks his emotions and say, hold on, it's like you can be in the car and your girlfriend get in the car. You know she got a big mouth and she rah-rah. You just got a girl that she's known to act ghetto. And you have a history of protecting her, running her mouth. But this one time, you just don't rock with her emotions and be like, you know what, hold on. Every time we go, it's always a problem with you and the dude. This one time, you start questioning her for facts. Now you fucking wrong.
Okay, so you feel like the climate nowadays favors emotion over
over
facts.
Hell yeah.
How was that? I think when it comes to the gender dynamic, because we're trying to have this conversation in the context of men and women, nobody's listening. Everybody's waiting to exhale, especially men. And by waiting to exhale, we mean being heard. When I hear the idea of somebody not being heard, mentally that's not healthy.
Nah.
Right? Having a burden on you, having a concern, an idea, an issue, or whatever, and being in a climate where you voice that and it's not received, do you feel like there's danger in that? Continuing.
Hell yeah, it's dangerous because motherfuckers will end up fucking snapping or popping. You dig what I'm saying? Women do it too though. Women snap and pop. Everything that they do is like, how can I say it? It don't require them to have to think, so to speak.
Okay.
Like when a woman let her emotions go, she's not thinking. She just goes and blah, 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 and she don't care. And when a woman gets fed up, she'll start hitting the man off of raw emotion. When, like, you know, when they say, when you fight, don't be emotional because it clouds your mind. Anger clouds the mind. Mm-hmm. You can't think properly, rationally, when you let your emotions take control.
Let me ask you this, though.
But men, when we let our emotions run wild, all right, brother, now calm down, now think this through. We have to keep shutting it down. Okay, then, if you're trying to shut me down with my emotions, all right, here go the facts. Well, you sure that? Oh, goddamn, now I got the proof. Now you still second guess me. Shut my emotions down. Now I'm going to show you the facts. Why I'm mad. Are you sure that happened? You sure she just wasn't having a bad day? You see what I'm saying? Here go the emotions again.
Now, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
I'm a stand on the other side of the issue.
Yeah.
Do men listen to women?
Yeah. We listen to women, and then we forced to have to listen to them. We don't have no options not to listen to no woman. We're forced to have to listen to them, man.
What do you mean by that? We're forced to have to listen.
We forced to have to listen because look at how women emotions have won in the past, the present, and the fucking future. We have to listen because we see a lot of men go down with facts and proof, and a woman won just because she was a woman, her emotions and everything, and how it's a pattern of. The pattern that they use, they still getting away with this pattern when it's clear that they're using this for so long, they still winning with the shit. Mm-hmm. Now that men is showing it and proving it, it ain't that serious. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so you're saying you feel like men are forced to listen to women. I understand where you're coming from, but I want to try to make it a little bit more concrete. Why do you think men, what is forcing men to listen to women?
What's forcing men to listen to women? That shit, man. It's the outcome of the situation. The outcome of the situation.
Okay. So the outcome in a lot of situations, at least a lot of public situations.
We can't win in the courtroom. We can't win in the house.
I think one thing is the court of public opinion.
That too
is swayed toward, and I think you had a lot of things that came through, like the Me Too movement and stuff like that gave women's voice a lot of steam for good reasons, for victims. Yeah. But you had a lot who rode that wave just to get the leverage, right? Even if they weren't in the right. Why do you think it sounds like what I'm hearing you say is that the ladies feel like they don't have to listen to men?
They don't. I think
but why do you think? Because in this climate that a lot of women feel like they don't need to listen.
Because they're winning. They're winning in the courts. Everything we just said. Mm-hmm. Like when I'm with my wife.
Well, let's break that out. Yeah, they're winning. A lot of courtroom legal outcomes. Yes. When it comes to the family, relationship, kids,
money.
There's a high win ratio over there.
Yeah, it don't require a lot of fucking work.
Getting money on the job, getting higher positions on the job, maybe in divorces, getting the payout, maybe even in dating, not having to pay, even if they not gonna stay.
Yes.
right, and getting money. So I'm just breaking down when you say winning. I like that because one of the reasons that our women, there's a big trend of women feeling like they don't need to listen to the man. It's right there in the music. We don't need it. We don't need a nigga. I'm independent. We don't need you. And we've seen that. We've seen in the black community. I haven't seen it other places. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm sure it does.
It does.
But it does exist, but it's very publicized with us. And we saw this way back in the 80s. They had like single black young ladies, and they were like, nah, I don't need a dad, you know, for my baby. Yeah. And even now in the 2020s, a young brother out there who would just kind of interview women, he had the beach or whatever, he asked them this question: would you rather have a man with a lot of money who doesn't take care of the kids or who's not there?
Yeah. Or
would you rather have a man who's broke or just making it, but he's a great devoted father, he's gonna be there?
Yeah.
All of them women chose that the man with money who's not there. Yeah. So I think that when you dissect it, and first let me say that those few women don't represent all women. Yeah. Some women got better sense than that.
It's not a lot, but it's some.
But what we're seeing is it's very common for a woman to say, give me the money, I don't need the man. I'm going to throw this out there.
I don't need to listen to you.
I'm thinking that a lot of the ladies don't understand the value of a man beyond money. That's why they feel like a man is discardable. We can dismiss him, we can dismiss his feelings, and dismiss his thoughts. Because all we need is the money, and we got a lot of ways to get that without having to listen. What's your thoughts on that?
It's absolutely true. I mean, every relationship I've been in, when a woman says something to you, did you hear me? Yeah. Now say what I said. You sure? But when a man does, a woman gets fucking at my wife. They get fucking at, why you keep asking me the same thing over? Because I want to make sure you listening. Women get aggravated with that. They know goddamn well. He just keep asking me the same thing over again. Why? Because y'all don't hear us. But when we don't hear y'all, it's coming with a whole bunch of other shit. Y'all make sure we hear y'all. But women do not like listening to men.
Can men make sure women hear us? Is there a way a man can make sure?
It's sad to say, but the only way a man kind of can get a woman is it's almost like we have to do like some vindictive stuff or test them to make them listen. Like, you know, okay, I'm asking her to do this. So since she's not doing this for me, I'm not going to do this for her. And then I have to wait for her to say, you know what, you've been acting strange, acting weird. Why you say that? It's because something I'm not doing for her no more. Now you have to listen. You're going to listen to me now because it's something that you're not getting no more. Now, see, as long as I'm giving to you, it's like you're not listening. For me to get your attention, I have to stop giving you what you want for you to actually listen now.
You got to cut the water off.
Yeah, for them to listen. And then they be like, oh, I didn't know you felt like that. Now they're giving you your undivided attention. I seem like that's the only way you can get that full undivided attention, because most of the time, like in prior relationship, even my wife, even when men are talking, women are already thinking what to say before it's like they're thinking so much, it's like your voice to them is wah, 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 wah. They only catch the beginning and the end. And then God, roll with me on this, dog. This is where men start saying, where's all this coming from? They bringing up the old, this, and they all over the place with their emotions because they was never fucking listening. Because their mind is already spinning to defend.
I got you.
You dig what I'm saying?
Yes. Man.
That's just real talk.
I'm thinking of, I like that, because the question was, how can men make women listen, right? Or I rephrase it, how can men make sure that women listen? Because you can't make somebody else do anything, right? But how can you make sure they listen? And your answer basically was, whatever you're giving them, cut that, press pause on it, and get the attention before you speak. The way I used to say that, remember I used to tell you, and I said, man, ain't no such thing as a open wallet in a closed mouth.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people want you to open your wallet but close your mouth. I don't play that at all.
Yeah.
And I feel like, to me, my answer to that question, how do men make sure that women listen?
Yeah.
If your wallet is open, your mouth ain't gonna be closed. Because some people want to take from you and not hear what you got to say. And I think that it's really coming down to a man understanding their value.
Yeah.
Because a man who don't understand his value will continue to invest in something that don't give a damn what he thinks about. And to ladies, I would say this.
Women do the same thing. They don't get what they want, they do this.
They close that.
You ain't getting none of this.
They close the legs.
It's a different type of mouth.
Right. It's a different type. They close the lips.
Yeah, they close them lips.
Yeah, they close
down
the lips.
south. Yeah.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I think that for men, everybody should value themselves. I'm not knocking a woman who closes the legs if she feel like, you know, I mean, you don't want to weaponize that in the same way a man shouldn't weaponize his wallet if y'all are in a relationship.
But if we do it, we're wrong.
That's true, but no one should weaponize, right?
Yeah.
Now you should utilize, but not weaponize.
Yeah.
Utilizing is that, okay, I see you're forgetting where the value is at. And this is the problem with a lot of the ladies. They think the value is the wallet. The value is the man. Yeah. It's the man who makes the money.
To put in the wallet.
Yes. And so I think that a lot of ladies are putting finance over fathers. Finances over fiance. And they forget
finance over their damn kids.
And you're forgetting that.
Don't forget that one.
But we're talking about the men right now. We can go to that. But I'm saying a lot of women are disconnecting the blood, sweat, tears, energy, effort that the man invests to get that money. You just want that wallet. It made me think of you remember Infinity Wars when Thanos was trying to get the thing out of Vision's head. Yeah. He was trying to get the Infinity Stone, and when he got it, he just took his body and threw him to the side. Yeah. He didn't even look at him. He got it and just threw his body to the side. Yeah. I feel like that's how society is nurturing women. Grab that wallet and throw that man to the side. And I think the only way a man who allows that is a man who is not respecting himself. A man who doesn't understand his value. Because again, the real value you're bringing to the table is what's between these ears that's generating that money.
And that's the reason why I find myself in situations with one woman in authority or multiple women in authority, because I value myself and I want the same I want to say rights, attention, just like they would do for their own. Like, you know, women do extra for them, but when it comes to a man, it's like the only way a man gets extra, he either have to downplay his masculinity or he damn near have to be homosexual. For him to get damn near the same level of a woman, for a man to get that same level of energy, he damn near have to sound, his voice have to sound light. He damn sure can't look too threatening unless it's beneficial for the woman. But if a man is standing 10 toes down, exercising his rights as a man against another woman, he's doing it the right way, it's a problem for women. Now, if I was to be gay or talking light, or I was skinny frame and I talked it light like Michael Jackson or something, then their guards will come down and they will meet me.
Your masculinity would be non-threatening.
It would be non-threatening.
I think that what's happened though is we had that this whole wave of toxic masculinity, which was really a concealed attack against black men, because that's the only place toxic masculinity labels were ever applied with black men. But the whole idea of toxic masculinity wasn't about toxic masculinity at all. It was just about masculinity. It was about marginalizing masculinity, silencing masculinity. Because when a man is just, like you said, 10 toes down, masculine, he knows what he's doing, he knows what he's talking about. Yeah. He knows how to engage a person, whether it's male or female, with his opinion, and he doesn't have to be apologetic about it.
It's a problem for them.
It's seen as threatening.
Yes.
Because it's seen that his presence, I feel like the authority in his presence is under attack.
Yes.
And so it is a lot easier for a man to be hurt emotionally. It's a lot easier if he's gay, if he's shrinking himself as a man. And for some Black American dudes or black dudes, we talked about this when I was in the military as an officer.
Yeah.
And it was mostly white people.
Yeah.
We had some black guys who try to sound white. I don't like my inflection.
Yeah.
And you talking in a way that doesn't sound black because
why do we have to go through all these metamorphosis changes?
I agree.
And it's not right.
It's mentally unhealthy.
And
it's a mental health issue.
Yeah, and don't be intelligent enough that when they say something, you can come back with something that's a little bit better, or you just knowing your rights through and through. That's all a threat to them. It's like they hear it, but then they still looking at it like, this is a man and I'm going to win this because I'm a woman and I'm in authority position. That's the wrong mindset to have. When I'm saying everything right, you can't find no kink in my armor of my conversation. So the only thing you can use to motivate you to keep fighting me back is my masculinity.
And a lot of times I've seen where
and a lot of men go through this.
If a person can provoke you enough to get a rise out of you, that can be used to undermine
your emotions.
Yes. What you're trying to express at the moment may be undermined and used against you because of how you delivered, right?
Yeah.
And I understand that a man should certainly be controlled. A man should certainly not be overbearing or intimidating, right?
Yeah.
But just being masculine a lot of times is used against a man.
You can be just the bass of my voice, the tone of my voice. I can be like, no, I'm not going for that. That's a threat. I ain't yelling at you. I just refuse to agree with you. And then I come with the justification where you are wrong at. I'm right. But just because of me being a man, you're going to keep trying to poke the bear to get me to rock off my emotions. So you see what, Mr. Brown, you getting, I swear to God, and every man can testify this. What do women start doing? I can see it in your face. You're starting to get loud. They still missing.
That's all deflection.
Exactly.
Because it's deflection because we want to move away from what it is you're saying.
Exactly.
And pay attention to what you're conveying in your nonverbal, right? It's a way to deflect the conversation. I'm gonna throw a bone out to the ladies because sometimes women get this stereotype against them too. Black women. In corporate America, if a black, because there are a lot of women out there who are very smart, very competent, they know how to do their job, and they may be smarter than the person who's over them.
Mm-hmm.
But if they speak up, if they don't agree, not because they're being disagreeable, but because they have a different viewpoint that may be better, a woman could get labeled with the angry black woman label too. Yeah. Right? So we all face it, and that's one of the things I just want to drop. Black men and black women, it's kind of a beef out here. We're not fully listening to one another, but we got to realize in greater society, we are all going through the same thing. Yeah. We would be better listening to one another, understanding that we're not trying to attack you, y'all aren't trying to attack us, but there's some dissatisfaction somewhere that needs to be adjusted, because a lot of times the dissatisfaction isn't just something minor like, I don't like this or I don't like the way you do that. A lot of times the dissatisfaction comes from somebody's feelings or position, their thoughts being suppressed or dismissed. Mm-hmm. And that's always going to be bad in the end. Yeah. Whether you do it with your kids, your spouse, your significant other, if you are dismissing and suppressing how they feel, eventually it's going to be an explosion.
But you hear it all the time. And everybody got to rock with this, man. Women got to rock with this. They may not want to rock with it because I'm exposing them and they feel bad. You always hear words. It was your tone. It's how you said it. Okay, but was I right when I said, yeah, but your tone just threw it off. It's like, are you serious? Like it, and see, that's the thing. We can't hear each other. The corporate thing of this whole problem is your emotion. It's nothing good about emotion, being emotional. That's for men and women. Even though women are more emotional and more sensitive, they need to control it just like a man needs to control his masculinity. For y'all to feel comfortable around us, y'all need to be honest with yourselves and check y'all emotions at the door. When a man comes to talk to you, you need to say to yourself, let me check my emotions.
I think one of the things,
if you want me to,
from the woman's side, I think one of the things that can be helpful with respecting a man's point of view presented in a masculine way is their relationship with their fathers. And their relationships to their father figures.
Fathers back then probably told them to be quiet. They couldn't say nothing. So now that they grown women, it's
so
like they on some get back type shit.
But you know, the relationship with the father or the lack thereof, and sometimes the presence of a father may not be good. The presence of a parent may not be that good if the relationship is not healthy, right?
Right.
But I think if a woman has a father or a father figure in her life that she listens to, and that her brain and her mind is trained to recognize the value in his voice, then that can translate to when she's dealing with men in a romantic sense. But if a woman has not submitted to authority, and when I say submit, I mean yield to what's right. When you're able to listen to the content of what somebody's saying and being able to discern that even though that's coming from a man, what he's saying is right. So I submit to that advice and I move with it. That comes when you have a healthy male authority in your life.
Well, that could be a possibility because you can have a male and a father in the house, but the father is like kind of like on the simp status because all he do will come home.
He's already shrinking his authority.
All he come home is just pay the bills, sit on the couch. Mommy is the one that's dictating and narrating everything. And men used to take pride in that. And so kids grow up seeing that the father just work, come home, watch TV, anything mommy say, dad gonna agree with it. So that girl growing up doesn't.
His voice has never been a factor.
She's
seen his presence, but not really.
So now she wants a man that fit that same MO. But you might find a man that got them same characteristics, but he can talk nice and vocal and everything, but it's a problem now. Because you're not used to your dad, that your biological father telling you, no, you're going to clean your room. No, you're not going to go where, give me your phone, you're on punishment. She never saw that. It's normally, most of the time, men just come home and the woman disciplines the kid and all that. So you're absolutely right. A lot of these women growing up just seeing their father work, come home, or they even saw the father and the mother have a misunderstanding and they seen that the father was probably right, but he yielded because she seen the mother stop cooking and he started behaving right. Or she not giving him that monkey, so he started behaving right. He's starting to cut the grass. So she starts to say, when she gets a man that starts to show the other side, like, no, babe, you need to be doing this. It's a problem now. So
she's grown up seeing the woman manipulate the man emotionally, because a lot of times in a relationship, a man will yield because he don't want the turmoil that comes from an angry woman, right? Happy wife, happy life. What's that message send? It says that, all right, man, close your damn mouth if you want to be happy. So that puts the lady in charge that if I'm dissatisfied emotionally, you need to make some adjustments. It don't matter what right look like, you need to make some adjustments.
And women love them type of men. You hear, girl, he bring home, he take me out. He never questioned me what I do. He never questioned what I got on. They love them men. But as soon as she find a man, babe, don't wear this. That's not appropriate.
Backbone. She'll know how to deal with the backbone.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say this because I think that I like the point that you use that example that a young girl can grow up and have a 2-parent household and never learn to respect her father's voice because of the relationship between the father and mother. Because she's seeing the mother not respect the father's voice, but kind of run over that. Because there was a simp era where a lot of men were socialized to make room not only in the workforce for women to exercise authority, but men were also socialized for women to have additional authority in the house.
Yeah.
And that really didn't balance anything. What it did was silence the man.
Yeah.
To where you only heard women talking about how they felt in relationships and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's why the whole podcast thing with men has become so popular and become a shock. That's why you hear a lot of ladies saying, "Oh, you a podcast man." I was talking to a young lady and I said, "Yeah, I got a podcast. I'm an author." This. "Oh, you a podcast man?" Oh shit, that's a thing now already that quick? Like as soon as we started doing podcasts, it's already a label that we can just slap on you so that we don't have to hear anything you're saying in your podcast. Yeah. You're a podcast man. You already fit these negative characteristics that are not worth listening to.
And I can go off of this one too from experience with multiple wives. I've been in marriage counseling, and I done seen marriage counseling. I've been in marriage counseling at churches. I done seen marriage counseling on TV and movies. Do you know who snaps the most when that marriage counseling start off? It's always the woman. Mm-hmm. They want us to go, but then when we start to express how we truly feel, they go, "I didn't know. What do you mean?" Because of communication. Mm-hmm. You wanted it. Now I'm expressing how I'm feeling, with facts and everything. Now you're angry. I done seen it with both of my wives when I went to marriage counseling. And then when they would give us exercises to go home to do, they did not like to do them. It was one exercise where with my wife where she will always say, when she talking, I'll be like this, or I'm moving around, and she like, "Oh, that would distract me." So when we was having marriage counseling, they said, she said, "Mr. Brown," she said, "This is what I want you to do. Y'all buy y'all a clock. And however long y'all want to have this conversation, 5, 10, 15 minutes. Don't go past 15 minutes because something about psychologically, you can lose a person. It's too much." She said, "Promise me, when y'all go home, you hit that button and you stay in one position with no facial expression. Y'all pick a time of the day." You know, my wife could not handle that. She couldn't even talk. And that's why I was at my wife, she could not communicate because she's so used to looking for a reaction. It could have been any topic. We have to agree on it. And I pushed the button and I would sit there.
Right.
And I would just be just like this, emotionless. And guess what started manifesting? Her reactions. Look. See, you really enjoying this. She tell us to do this now, you really want to do it. I'm like, we both agreed at the marriage counselor. So then when we go back to the marriage counselor, she said, "Have y'all did it?" I said, "No." And I just looked at her, I said, "Do you want to speak or I to speak?" So then when she started asking my wife these questions, she was getting so frustrated and couldn't talk because I started practicing being emotional. I didn't even ever look at her. I was just looking at her while she was talking to Asia. And then my wife was like, "See, look what he's doing now." For her to get off her chest, she had to ask me to leave the room. Damn. Then ask me to come back.
See, people don't understand that listening is serious.
Yes.
Listening is
it takes strength to listen.
It's almost like a sport. It is not for the faint of heart. And that's why we say calling this episode "Waiting to Exhale."
Yes.
Who is really listening? Yeah. Because there is active listening, right? And that's what the council was encouraging you guys to do. Mm-hmm. Sit back. Don't have any kind of reaction. Focus on the words, because a lot of times if it's emotionally triggering conversation, when they're hearing what you're saying, either way, man or woman, you're feeling all kinds of ways and you're reacting to how you're feeling and you're formulating your response before the person is done. So you're not even listening to what they're saying. Real quick, here's something that I learned in marriage counseling a while ago, and I always kept this with me. They gave us a piece of paper that looked like a floor tile.
Yeah.
And it had the rules of engagement on it to communicate. And whoever had the floor was talking.
Right.
When you had the floor, I can't interrupt you.
Yeah.
I can't be bursting in and saying things and reacting. Yeah. Can't be reacting. I got to listen. But here's the rules of the person who had the floor. You could not go for more than 3 points you couldn't make more than 3 points in your while you were talking. Because some people like to go on and on and on. You making 5, 6, 7 points, and you giving a person so much that it's too much for them to respond to.
Yeah.
So no more than 2 or 3 points, and then when you're done, I take the floor back, and before I start talking, I summarize what I heard you say, and I say,
to make sure you was listening.
Right. I gotta summarize what you said, and then ask you, is that right? And then you gotta confirm.
Yes.
And then I respond.
Yeah.
Right, because that way it's just making sure that you caught the pass.
No, the reason I know that men are better at doing it than women, because I do that with my wife all the time.
Right.
I'll be like, did you hear what I just said? No, I just forgot. Say that to me again. And I'll be like, okay, then. Then when I say, but when you tell me something, I could damn near tell her verbatim every word for word she said. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't say that. No, you sure I said that? And be like, yeah. So you are absolutely right, and they say that when I was in marriage counseling, they said, because she asked us both, what do you feel like is the number one cause of divorce? I was like, infidelity. My wife, she's like, well, do you agree with your husband? She's like, yeah. She said, no, the number one cause is communication.
Yeah.
It's communication. And most of the times, it's not that the man is not listening to the woman is not listening to the man. Because men don't go to marriage counseling. Men don't just recommend we need to go to marriage counseling most of the time. It mostly be the woman. But then when they go, when it's somebody that's a professional that's refereeing it, that's when they start to see their flaws. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because men don't naturally want to go, but we'll go. Even if we volunteer, we'll go and we'll sit. And we'll, even if we don't agree, we'll just sit there and listen.
Right.
But a woman will not listen, especially when that psychologist give you the floor to speak, and then the psychologist go to the woman and start asking. They be like, "Oh, I wasn't even paying attention when he was talking." Right there, and the psychologist was like, "Well, let me reiterate. When he said this, he said this. Oh, now I remember. Now I remember." You see, now if it was the man and the wife, she'll say he didn't say it. But see, and that's why I love when I go around my family and me and my wife will be around, and she'll say, I didn't say something to my family. Like, no, hey, he did say that. Mm-hmm. But, and then, you know, they that's why they don't, that's what, I think women really win the most when it comes to argument with men is when it's one-on-one. I've noticed that. When it's like a one-on-one, women tend... they tend to win. But if it's somebody around and say, no, you missed what he was saying. That can verify, ooh, they hate that shit, bro. Man. They hate it. They pick their time and choose. It seems like they pick their time and places to use their emotions. You dig what I'm saying? And I have noticed that you never see a woman want to pick a time and a place to start with something when it's like family or a group of people, unless she already got the upper hand.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying? But really when it's on an intellectual level, like, let's sit down and have a conversation, women don't really, yeah.
And I think for anybody who's really not listening is because they're self-willed. They're selfish. They're only interested in winning. In what they want to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
They're not interested in what you got to say unless it benefits their bottom line. But that's the thing about a relationship. I mean, if you're going to share a space with somebody, then you got to compromise. You got to hear what they...
Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard. That's why I get so frustrated and angry when sometimes when me and my wife will talk, if our misunderstandings have to go for a long time until her emotions simmer down.
Yeah.
And then she'll be like, oh, okay, now I get it now. It's like for men, we have to because men will say, man, you're not listening. When we saying that to you women, it's because you're still so emotional. Mm-hmm. You're not even hearing what we're saying. You're unrational. They start jumping over the place. And you be like, yo, what I'm trying to talk to you now got to do with that? And once their emotions come down, which probably take damn near 30 minutes, now you like, shit.
Let's talk about that, like, the right time to communicate since we're here. But before that, in one of my situations, because that floor technique is here now for me, right? Yeah. So when it's hot, I got a floor. I give you the floor and let you go. If you going like 4 or 5, hey, you give me too much. I can't remember all of that to respond. But here's one thing I've seen in a relationship before. She talks, right? She done. I said, okay, so what I'm hearing you say is this, and this. No, that's not what I'm saying. And then she'll go to re-explain, and I'm like, but that's what I said. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, okay, so you're saying boom, 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 boom. I said, that's what I said. I said, I use a different word, but it's the same thing. So you really got a man is going to drill down in the conversation. He's not going to let you manipulate the conversation.
No.
Because some people, they'll hear you summarize what they said correctly, and then still want to tell you you ain't got it right.
But I just said what you just said.
I just said what you just said.
So how I don't have it.
You really can't move past that point.
Yeah, and that's where they really get pissed off.
Some people are trying to lock you at that point. No, that ain't right. You're not understanding. I'm saying exactly what you said. What's the difference?
Yeah.
But that's a person who is really bent on not hearing you.
Yes.
So when do you think is the best time to communicate? Since we see there are all these barriers to listening, let's put it in a relationship context, because I think work is easier. People put emotions aside more often at work. In relationships, people feel like they got the free flow for whatever their emotional disposition is, even if it's unhealthy. So if you got a hot topic with the lady, and it's something you want to address, something she want to address, when do y'all touch that? How long are you waiting?
Shit, if it's a hot topic, for her to listen to me, I think I have to go back to what I said. I have to deny her something that she wants to do.
Oh, you got to do that off the rip.
Yeah.
So you don't just give time and then engage.
Nah, with the time for me, in my prior experience, even with my wife giving the time, I don't think that's gonna work for us, because how our day go and what she does. It's like when I'm free, she's busy, and it's vice versa. So the only time that we can actually carve out time is when it's something that she's not giving me and I'm not giving her, and then it's like, okay, we need to sit down and talk. But if we both if we carve out the time, it's like we sabotage it because we planned it. I'm good at planning, she's not. So it'll be a conflict there. And most of the time, if I plan it, she can manipulate it to where we ain't got time at that time to talk. So I think it depends on your partner, how you can get that time. And for me to get my wife time, I have to do something that she recognizes to where she stops and be like, you know what, you have, and then I'll be like, you know what, but it's something I've been wanting to talk to you about. Now she will create that time right there on the spot, and she'll give me the floor. So I think it depends on the dynamic and the chemistry of your relationship.
I think that one thing that maybe we got to realize is that in relationships, we don't do stuff just off moral grounds. People are animals too, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes we forget that humans are a part of the animal kingdom. We're at the top of it, but we are part of it. And I say that because we forget and we think that all these little pretty moral rules and stuff like that, we do what's right just to stick to some rules. Nah. Sometimes we do what's right because somebody got leverage over you. Sometimes
like
you listen because somebody got leverage. You're not doing certain things at work just out of the goodness of your heart. You're doing it because you know they have leverage to cut that water off, to stop that pay, and a relationship is no different. I think that's one thing we got to be honest with. Sometimes a woman, she might close them legs and say, hold on, babe, I've been trying to get across to you. And I'm not knocking a woman who does that if the man is legitimately not hearing his woman. The man got to listen to his woman too.
Yeah,
right? Because she's a part of his team. So sometimes she might close them legs and that get his attention. And then she say, hold on, this is what I'm trying to say. Same with a man. Understanding his value. Understanding what she values about me. That when you stop valuing what's coming from here, I'm talking to you, then I'm going to see what you do value and shut that off. And then you're going to come find me. Yeah. That's just human nature.
Yeah, so that's why I said it's probably not really a time. But when it gets that bad, all of a sudden it is time.
Right.
It is creating time. Because when I do that to my wife, I'm like, well, you still got to work. Don't worry about that.
This is a priority now.
This is a priority now. I say, well, she's like, I got vacation time. I can use that, but we need to talk now. See, you know what I'm saying? The time is created. When it gets that bad, women say, well, I'm taking off today because we need to talk.
But it ain't just from no rules.
No, it's something that was taken away.
These rules right here say you should do this,
Yeah.
I should do that. Nobody listens to that.
No.
Like the whole floor thing that I'm talking about
Yeah.
is just is a structure. It's a template for you to use to communicate. But you can use that floor and shit still not change.
Yeah.
We can be talking, I'm listening, I confirm that I heard you.
Right.
You agree I got it right, and then I respond. We can do all of that, and stuff still not change. To really listen, sometimes you got to pull the leverage on that person. That's why I'm saying, men and women,
there's
really
nothing
got to
wrong
understand.
with that. If that's what you need to get that person's undivided attention,
ain't nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong with it.
Because the health of the relationship is at stake. So sometimes you got to cut water off, because it's like both a man and a woman have to understand their value in the context of relationship. What's your value? What's my value to you?
Yeah.
Right? Because sometimes you forget about me, who I am. Right? You may see what I have and what I do and what I can provide, and you place value on that, but you forget about the most important part of that.
Yeah.
Me.
And guess what happens when you do that? That's when, what I said before, that's when they check in their emotions and everything. They're going to make sure everything is balanced when we have that conversation. You see what I'm saying? Because now the woman, if it's a man do it to her, she going to be like, I know you be like, well, it's something that I really want to talk about. Because she's being affected by what you used to do, she's automatically going to come down to some humbleness or whatever, vice versa. The man going to do it too, because like, yo, okay. And they're gonna hear you out now.
When you got there's this song back in the day. You mentioned "Waiting to Exhale." That's 90s, right?
Yeah.
Another 90s song, giving him something he can feel.
Oh
I forget who sang that. Them four girls. Who was it? I can't remember their name.
SWV probably.
Nah, not SWV. It was another group, but it was like four of them, and they had them little sexy drink. Giving him something he can feel. But
okay, yeah, you went back.
Yeah,
you went back.
Let them know.
I wonder, not Vogue.
It was In Vogue. Might have been In Vogue.
I said Vogue. Yeah, it might have been In Vogue.
But the reason I bring that up is because that's what you got to do in a relationship. You got to give the other person something they can feel. And sometimes words, they can't feel it. And I think especially with women who operate, they lead with emotion. They have logic, but primarily lead with emotion. A lot of times you got to give them something they can feel. And sometimes closing that wallet, shutting that water off, or taking something that they prioritize is a reminder to them what the real priority is.
I'm gonna make you feel it with nonverbal cues. That's
the real priority is me, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When I cut off the resources, you remember the source.
Yeah.
When I cut off the resource, you remember the source. The resource can never be more important than the source. And I think that's why women, the women who aren't listening to men, have that confused. You putting the resource above the source. But the man is the source.
It should be the source, then
the resource. Because whatever he's giving you, protection, guidance, or whatever, it's all coming from here.
Even his manhood is the source.
Yeah.
If you want it, because men can stop giving you that dang-a-lang, and
all of that,
and then they start thinking you cheating on me, you not coming home, and no, really, he's getting your goddamn attention.
Right.
All you gotta do is say, I noticed you ain't, and women to do that. And then that's when they sit down and listen.
Yeah.
But don't let him not cut her water off, and he just come at her. They're gonna get to arguing, boy. You gotta make them feel it.
Because she don't understand that.
The magnitude of it.
And maybe it's not just the lady, maybe the man doesn't understand either. When the water's not cut off, it's like you feel like everything I want is still happening, everything's still flowing.
Yeah.
This is just this Charlie Brown teacher right here. Womp. I don't care what you're talking about, if this still coming. So sometimes you got to cut them resources or put them on pause. We're not talking about abusing. We talking about helping one another to reprioritize.
Get that person's attention.
That's what this is. Getting the attention so we can reprioritize.
Yeah.
You put the source back on top and understand that that's where the resources are coming from. So a woman should be, if she's getting resources from a man and she's in a relationship, she should be doing maintenance to the source. She should be paying attention, listening to the source, the man. Because if he goes down, something is wrong with him, he's, in unrest, whatever the case is, that's going to fuck up the resources. And that's a relationship that we got to remember, I think we forget about.
Yeah, so that's the way the exhale that I'm talking about. And the same thing that you're talking about, I'm not using verbal actions no more. I'm using another source to get what I need done with my situation.
Right.
I'm not going to that source no more because I know it's another source over top of that source.
Right.
So now I thought you were the source, but I'm going to go to another source and make you become the resource.
Let me ask you this question, since we're talking in terms of sources and resources. In a relationship, a lot of times a man is the source when it comes to financial provisions. The woman benefits from that. She may contribute, but most women want a man who she can benefit from financially. You have a lot of folks who want to build their relationship on religion, God. So if I'm talking to a woman and I say, hold on, baby, you putting too much value on the resources, you forgetting that I'm the source that's generating these resources. What would you say to a woman who responded to that man and says, no, baby, you ain't the source?
Say that to me one more time.
A man is having a conversation with his woman. He's telling her, baby, you need to reprioritize. I give you resources, but I'm the source. You forgetting about the source. That woman responds to him and says, nah, baby, you're not the source. God is the source. How do you respond to that?
Oh, that's easy.
Okay.
I'm going to hold her what she said to the fire.
Okay.
When bills is paid, time to pay the bills, I'm not paying them.
God the source, right?
God the source.
Right.
Yeah, and then this is the thing. I'm going to still pay the bills, but guess what I'm going to make you pay? Or I'm going to ask you to go to God for. You're going to pay the late fees. I'm going to pay my part of the whatever. So if we got a car note and they say, well, you have to pay because you was late because we was waiting for God to give us the money. So whatever the late fee, my wife going to cover that. And that's with all the bills. So if you want to wait until the electric bill and everything get paid, I'm going to pay attention and say, the electric bill is getting higher, so I'm going to pay what our electric bill normally is. So if our electric bill is $100 a month and it goes to $400, I'm going to pay my $100, but you're going to pay that $300 because we waiting for God. We pay the electric bill on the 2nd, but we ain't paying it now to the 20th. So you got to make up that difference. And then then holler at me again next month and see if God's still the source. God is the source, but he's the source, but I'm the resource. But since he's not here in the flesh, I am the goddamn source.
That's right.
And that's how I do it.
I needed to break that down because that's another way of dismissing what a man is saying.
Yeah,
right.
Well, if you paying both car notes, you pay the car note.
It's another way of dismissing what a man is saying.
Yeah.
A man tells his woman, hey, you prioritizing the resource over the source. I'm the source that's paying all the bills, keeping our quality of life. A religious woman or a woman who wants to find a way to circumvent you will call God the source. And I think, men, you got to tell that woman, okay, well, I'm going to step out the way and let you and God pay these bills then, right? You got to turn off the wall. I'm not saying don't pay your bills, but you got to create a situation to say, okay, well, let your source activate then. Let your source do its thing, because you can't, that's just bringing in God in that way is just another way of disrespecting and dismissing what the man is saying.
And I'm right, we rightfully so to say that, because if God is the source, if a woman is using that, I have a right to put that to the test.
There you go.
And a woman be like, well, no, you wrong. You know what I mean? No, I know what you fucking said.
Right.
So if God
I don't know what you mean. Actually.
Now, the only way you can say God is the source if I was doing wrong, I was not doing the right thing with my money. Mm-hmm. But if I'm doing the right thing with my money and you're undermining me, hey,
yeah, I would agree.
You see what I'm saying? Because they'll say you wrong. Well, you know what I mean? No. If I was my money, I wasn't paying these bills and everything, and I was using it to go out and spend money, and we backed on this bill and backed on that bill and this and that. Then you can say that's not your money. That money comes from God. You got leverage to say God is the source. But if I'm doing right by my money, but you're undermining me you're disrespecting the authority in your life because it's God and man is authority over you. So if you're going to say God, okay then God, I'm going to step out the way because if you're talking about Christianity, it's God, then man, then woman. Mm-hmm. I'm going to step out the way and you deal with her.
Right.
And you deal with him.
I think I just want to bring that up because a lot of people, I hear a lot of people saying that they want a man of God or a woman of God or whatever, but they don't really understand what that means.
Yeah.
Some people, if your mindset is already slanted toward manipulation, you're gonna do the same thing with God. You're gonna manipulate God in your situation.
Yeah.
You will invoke God to circumvent or go around what your man is saying. Because if you're not liking what he's saying, not because of what he's saying, but maybe because of how you feel, now you go around and it's about God. Now all of a sudden you hearing from God. God is telling me this. Papa, Father God is saying this or that and the other. No. That's why you got to pick a good man who's hearing from God, or however you want to say it, because that's where God's voice is going to be coming from.
Yeah.
You can't be separating the two. I tell a chick quick, okay, well, let him pay that then.
Yeah.
Let God pay for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Then let me know how that work out.
Yeah.
You'll be back. So, yeah, man.
Unless you get it from another man, but guess what?
Okay,
hey,
well,
you didn't get it from the one that you keep saying you got it from.
Right.
So, yeah.
But it's all about listening, man. It's not about competition. Again, this whole climate that you mentioned in the beginning, where men are getting the downside of it, as far as not listening, and that wouldn't be so bad if men weren't still expected to contribute at the same level, right? Mm-hmm. It's one thing if you say, "Man, we don't care what you talking about." All right, that's cool, but don't say that and still ask me to contribute at the same level.
Exactly.
That goes back to, you want an open wallet but a closed mouth. And I would tell any man, never accept them terms. Yeah. Anytime anybody tell you they want you to open your wallet and close your mouth, go the other way. Because apparently you don't need me.
Yeah.
Because I am the wallet. This wallet don't exist without the source.
Yeah.
So you can't dismiss the source and then take the resource. What I'm saying. So,
yes, sir.
Man, let's get into these final thoughts. T-Rex, what you got on your mind?
Nah, that's what I was waiting to exhale. This is actually very therapeutic. I honestly think that women need to check their emotions, man. To be honest, I just think that's what they need to do. Real talk. Yeah. They just need to check their emotions, just like men have to check their masculinity. We have to make sure we're calm. Sometimes we got to be sitting down. We can't be using our hands too much. Or as soon as our voice elevates, they're telling us to be quiet. But women need to check their emotions. You know what I'm saying? Not just at the beginning, but during the middle, all the way through. Yeah. Not you start off calm and then you start using your emotions the rest of the time. Now, if your emotions try to rise up, you need to check it and get back down to the level where we can keep communicating. Because I have never seen a woman, once she tap into her emotions, she don't calm back down. She don't say, you know what, hold on, let me stop. I'm getting angry, I'm getting frustrated. Let me calm down so we can continue. No, once their emotions are there, they stay there. When a man gets angry, he's like, you know what, let me calm down. Let me gather my thoughts. And he does it. But they won't do that. They won't do that. Once they're there. And they feel justifiable too.
These are your final thoughts now.
Yeah, these are my final thoughts.
Okay, all right.
They justifiable.
Okay.
I'm not gonna calm down. I've been and you're like, okay, fine, cool.
Okay, all right. I hear that, man. Wait and exhale. Great topic. I think it really needs more time and probably more examples, to be honest with you. But I think wait and exhale is what everybody's trying to do in this climate right now. Everybody's talking. Nobody's really being heard. Yeah. And you haven't really exhaled until you've been heard. It's a basic human need to feel heard.
Yeah.
Because the Creator put us here to express ourselves in a lot of ways. How you dress, how you present yourself, how you talk. But it's important that we see what we say reflected in the people around us. That the people around us actually care enough to consider what it is we're saying. That's a part of what makes us feel valuable. And when we dismiss each other, we use labels. Oh, that's a podcast man. Oh, that's an angry black woman. Or that's an angry black man.
Yeah.
Those are just labels that make you too lazy to actually engage and listen to what the person's been saying. Mm-hmm. And the fear is that if you listen, you might have to make an adjustment to grow yourself. A lot of people don't want the adjustments, so we're not going to listen. When we hear it coming, when we feel it coming, we'll find that label. Let me get that label maker ready. Boom, 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 boom.
Pivot.
Bam. Let me put that label on there so that I don't have to listen to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Or we pivot. Oh, let me pivot. Oh, I don't like your demeanor when you're saying that, your delivery. Let's divert, let's deflect from what's being said, and let's focus on what I'm seeing I don't like how it makes me feel. Yeah. All of these are horrible barriers to listening. And if you're not listening, you are not connected.
No.
If you're talking about a relationship, if you are not listening to one another, you are not connected. So at time after time, after years, you will find yourself cohabitating with a person.
But you really don't like them.
You really don't even like them. You're really not even connected. And you're really forgetting who they are because you're not hearing them over the years. People are growing. People are changing. People are evolving. People are devolving. But if you're not coming and finding that common ground, suppressing your emotions to actually hear what people are saying,
it's like
take it into consideration.
Sleeping with the enemy.
Yeah. It'll be a few years down the road, you'll wake up sleeping with a stranger and God forbid, sleeping with the enemy.
And then that's where I think a lot of, you hear people like, damn, they was married that long. What made them finally get a divorce? And they was that together for 25 plus years. They got a divorce.
Communication, man. And like I said, this is when this topic can really go on, because even in saying that, I'm thinking about how that situation happens, but a lot of times it's happening because you are listening, but you're listening to the wrong people. You might have your significant other with you who's trying to talk to you. You done shut them out, but you listening to what so-and-so and them saying over here. And then you being influenced by that and bringing that in the house, which is causing more discord. So and after a while, that's why people have to go to therapy, because now we got to dig through all these layers, all this rocks and rubble and all of this stuff. Now you done said things that you can't take back, things that done cause scars,
did things that you can't take back.
Yeah,
all that.
Yeah, you done did things you can't take back. So listening doesn't cost anything, but it saves a whole lot in the long run.
It saves a whole lot in all aspects of relationships and everything.
In all aspects. So that's my final thoughts. Practice active listening, and remember, the source is always more valuable than the resource. And men especially need to remember that, because men, we embrace the idea of being providers and providing resources, but don't forget yourself, that you are the source. And if you're not taken care of, if your woman is not helping to make sure that you're in the best state of mind, physically, emotionally, mentally, she's fueling you because you're bringing the resources. So that relationship has to put priority on the source so that the resources can continue. So value yourself. You are the source. Hey, that's all I got, man. Thanks again for listening to OG's Uncut Conversations on